You're hanging out with Ian and Abby. Welcome back to Bedtime Stories, where we read excerpts and talk about plots of various classic public domain literature because it's fun. Our dogs felt extremely codependent and they felt they should be here today. So I hope you enjoy them. If not, I'm sorry.
Archie's got his hat on because he's ready for a bedtime story. You didn't like that, Archie? Sorry, but you sit here and I better put my story cap on because we are going to get into today, how appropriately, the Christmas Carol. And I'm pretty sure that Scrooge would have worn a fine hat like this. And I don't know if it'd be so tall. I don't know the fashionable way to wear this. So I
love this story.
Abby loves this story. Now, yes, what we've done is I've perused through it. I've taken some Dalek stickies. And I've put them in certain places so we can kind of get a feel for a plot. And also there's some funny moments in here. But Abby, what is it that you sort of like about the Christmas Carol?
It's my favorite Christmas story, and I know all of them.
True.
I love them. I love sentimental stories. I think what's beautiful is it speaks so aggressively to the human spirit. This man, in his past, as we find out, has had hardship that has hardened him and made him distrust in humanity and distrust in goodness in people and made him just sort of protect himself because he feels that's the only way to get by in life. Mm-hmm. And then he has this great epiphany where he has to reflect on the past, the present, and the future and realize what he is doing is wrong. And then he has this beautiful chance to turn things around and make a profound impact on his whole community, on everyone around him. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's such a beautiful, compelling story. I love it.
It is a great story.
Yeah.
It is a story of redemption,
mm-hmm.
and that it's never too late.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was written by Charles Dickens back in, let's see if there's a date.
A long time ago.
Couldn't tell you, a long time ago. But Charles Dickens, it says here, A Christmas Carol was published the week before Christmas in 1843. So a book that is pretty well 200 years old. You could still throw a rock at a crowd of people in definitely Western countries, I would say, or English-speaking countries, maybe. And probably people could give you a rough sketch of this plot. So that shows you how powerful it is.
And it's interesting. I think your dad told me, I don't know if this is true or if we have our facts mixed up, that he self-published it because no one believed in him.
Oh.
I don't know, but I remember your dad telling me that because I was talking to him about this story because I love it so much. And he was like, I have facts. And I was like, tell me your facts.
Isn't that so sad? That if that's true, it reminds me of Picasso, who apparently sold only 2 paintings in his whole life. I think I'm thinking of the right person, and I think that's the stat. So, I don't know. Go look it up. We're delving into this. Look at that beautiful cover.
I have an aggressive collection of leather-bound tomes that are my pride and joy. So now you get to enjoy them too. You're welcome.
So as we do on our story time, we will start by introducing the characters as the author sort of introduces the characters. That's the usual way to start a story. Mm-hmm. To let you know who you're dealing with. Abby and I always usually start with who we are. Okay, listen to how Dickens describes Scrooge at page 6 of this particular version. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in a grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature about, always with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thought 1 degree at Christmas.
It's literal and metaphoric at the same time.
Like, who writes like that?
Charles Dickens.
Anymore, you know? I love the part where he had a frosty rime. So a rime is like a coating of frost, basically, like white cover, sort of, on his head, eyebrows, and chin. So Dickens is saying he had some stubble. It was white, that's his age. But it was his temperament also, because it was the same color as frost, and he was frosty. It's so brilliant.
So
Anyway.
good. So good.
So Scrooge gets a pretty bad rap at the beginning, and he's at his office. In not too much time, in comes his nephew. My goodness. And I quite like this. This is a little bit of a good comeback. Like Scrooge, as you can see in the intro here, he was a shrewd fellow, but his nephew gets a good one on him here, Abby. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you," cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. "Bah," said Scrooge. "Humbug." So that's his, like, if he's surprised, that's what he says.
That's his catchphrase.
He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was ruddy and handsome, his eyes sparkled, and his breath smoked again. "Christmas, a humbug, Uncle?" said Scrooge's nephew. "Nephew, you don't mean that, I'm sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." It's okay. The nephew gets back at him. "Come then," returned his nephew gaily. "What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Ooh, gotcha. Nice one. Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said, "Bah," again, and followed it up with,
Humbug.
"Humbug." Scrooge.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He's stopped. He's not wasting his A material on this guy. So anyway, the story goes on.
And have we introduced Cratchit, or is that happening?
No, although why don't you do it, because I don't really have a good quote from that. What's that about?
Essentially, his employee is named Cratchit, Bob Cratchit, and he works so hard, and he has a large family to support that Scrooge does not know about and doesn't care about. He doesn't want to know. And he basically just says, "Scrooge, can I take Christmas off to be with my family?" And Scrooge is like, "Do you want to be employed tomorrow?" Well, think about that.
Yeah, so poor Cratchit. This is not a good employee-employee relationship. So anyway, Scrooge gets back to his place, and this ghost shows up. And Scrooge is questioning that. Oh, go for it. I'm about to launch into a little passage.
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I'm watching intently.
her bonnet misled me. It's a hard time reading her body language with the bonnet. I'm not used to it. I thought her frills were
Quivering.
quivering with it.
Anticipation.
Yes. Scrooge, so he's just met the ghost, Jacob Marley, his old business partner. Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes, nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish then. I guess waggish was lighthearted or something. The truth is that he tried to be smart as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his terror, for the spectre's voice disturbed the very marrow in his bones. To sit staring at those fixed, glazed eyes in silence for a moment would play, Scrooge felt, the very deuce with him. Meh. There was something very awful, too, in the spectre's being provided with an infernal atmosphere of its own. Scrooge could not feel it himself, but this was clearly the case, for though the ghost sat perfectly motionless, its hair and skirts and tassels were still agitated as by the hot vapor from an oven, sort of like Abby's frill just now. So this is where it gets pretty good. "You see this toothpick?" said Scrooge, returning quickly to the charge for the reason just assigned and wishing, though it were only for a second, to divert the vision's stony gaze from himself. "You see this toothpick?" So if you ever see a ghost, you see this?
You see this Dalek?
You see this sticker? "I do," replied the ghost. "You're not looking at it," said Scrooge, "but I see it, notwithstanding." "Well," returned Scrooge, "I have but to swallow this and be for the rest of my days persecuted by a legion of goblins. All of my own creation. Humbug, I tell you, humbug." So I guess that was his effort to sort of dismiss the ghost, was the toothpick distraction. Didn't work, though. Okay, so that didn't work. So then what happened?
It turned out the ghost was his old business partner, Jacob Marley. And Jacob Marley, do you have a quote as to why he's there?
Nope.
Jacob Marley had come to warn Scrooge that he was shackled in chains in the afterlife and he was being punished for his wretched behavior while he was alive. And he'd come to warn Scrooge and say, look, you still have a chance. You don't have to have this fate, but if you keep on this path, your chains are going to be bigger and heavier than mine, and your fate is going to be worse than mine, and mine's pretty bad. You're going to be visited by 3 spirits this eve to help you see the wrongdoing in your life and hopefully help you reset a little bit.
Very good. So the first ghost shows up, and I picked a passage that describes the ghost because, here, let's do an experiment, Abby. Based on your recollection of the story, and maybe what you've seen or heard from other sources, why don't you describe what you think the first ghost, the ghost of Christmas past, looks like?
In films, it's usually depicted as sort of a child. Sometimes it's someone dressed as a candle. It's I've seen different interpretations of it. I'm trying to remember how it's written in the book, though. I don't recall.
That's pretty close, actually. This is what Dickens says. It was a strange figure. Thanks, Charles. That's helpful. A strange figure. Like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man, viewed through some supernatural medium, which gave him the appearance of having receded from the view and being diminished to a child's proportions. Its hair, which hung about its neck and down its back, was white as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle in it, and the tenderest bloom was on the skin. The arms were very long and muscular, the hands the same, as if its hold were of uncommon strength. Its legs and feet were delicately formed, were, like those upper members, bare. It wore a tunic of purest white, and round its waist was bound a lustrous belt, the sheen of which was beautiful. It held a branch of fresh green holly in its hand, and in singular contradiction of that wintry emblem, had its dress trimmed with summer flowers. But the strangest thing about it was that from the crown of its head there sprung a bright, clear jet of light, by which all this was visible. So Abby got that right, but here's what was really weird. Even this, though, when Scrooge looked at it with increasing steadiness, was not its strangest quality. That wasn't the strangest. The candle head was not strange. For as its belt sparkled and glittered, now in one part and now in another, and what was light one instant and another time was dark, so the figure itself fluctuated in its distinctness, being now a thing with one arm, now with one leg, now with 20 legs.
Did he invent strobe lights? Read the belt.
Now a pair of legs without a head, now a head without a body, of which dissolving parts no outline would be visible in the dense gloom wherein they melted away. And in the very wonder of this, it would be itself again, distinct and clear as ever.
Wow.
That is terrifying.
That is terrifying.
So
I'm glad I repressed that.
So yeah, I can see why they didn't do that in a lot of shows and things replicating this. It'd be pretty hard to show the like octopus, the head thing.
Well, that makes sense now. A Muppet's Christmas Carol, one of the classic interpretations of the story. It's this creepy Jim Henson baby ghost, and I hate it. It's so creepy.
Yikes.
And that makes more sense now.
So then, Abby, based on again, Abby and I haven't really reviewed these beforehand. We just got them off the shelf to talk about them. I did have time to put Dalek stickers down on some paragraphs I thought might be funny. But Abby, skip us ahead in the plot a bit. So he meets this weird looking ghost octopus thing. Candle thing. What happens?
Basically, he's taken back to his past. Mm-hmm. He is reminded that he used to be an orphan, which is very sad. He is reminded that, I think it was Jacob Marley who took him under his wing and gave him a position and gave him a chance to, be in the wealth industry. There was a woman whose name I forget, who he was in love with and betrothed to, but he became so obsessed with money and increasing his status in life and increasing his material possessions that he neglected his relationship, and she eventually left him because he wouldn't marry her, even though he kept promising to, which sucks. I think many women have been there, so very, understanding.
That does suck. That's pretty close. We are also looking for not Marley, but Fezziwig.
Oh, Fezziwig. Yeah, he was his first employer, and he was lovely.
Fezziwig? Fezzi something. So him and Marley, I think, were employed by Fezziwig. But yeah, the first place as Abby says, the ghost brings him back to his boarding school. And so we have a little, I couldn't understand this, so I just put a Dalek sticker next to it. Maybe you can help me, Abby, here. Okay, the school is not quite deserted, said the ghost. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still. Scrooge said he knew it, and he sobbed. Okay, so that's, I think, the first place the spirit of Christmas past takes him. This is what I don't understand. Okay, not a latent echo in the house. I'm at page 30, for those keeping track. Not a squeak and scuffle from the mice behind the paneling. Not a drip from the half-thawed waterspout in the dull yard behind. Not a sigh among the leafless boughs of one despondent poplar. Not the idle swinging of an empty storehouse door. No, not a clicking in the fire, but fell upon the heart of Scrooge with softening influence and gave a freer passage to his tears. The spirit, so he's crying about the fact he was sort of abandoned at the school. The spirit touched him on the arm and pointed to his younger self, intent upon his reading. So Scrooge is reading. Suddenly a man in foreign garments, wonderfully real and distinct to look at, stood outside the window, with an axe stuck in his belt, and leading by the bridle an ass laden with wood. "Why, it's Ali Baba!" Scrooge exclaimed in ecstasy. "It's dear old honest Ali Baba. Yes, I know. One Christmas time, when yonder solitary child was left here all alone, he did come for the first time, just like that. Poor boy. And Valentine," said Scrooge, "and his wild brother Orson. There they go. And what's his name, who was put down in his drawers, asleep, at the gate of Damascus. Don't you see him? And the Sultan's groom turned upside down by the jenny. There he is upon his head. It serves him right. I'm glad of it. What business had he to be married to the princess?" What is happening?
I take this as his book was his reality and he was reading the story of Ali Baba. I interpret that as he lost himself in a fantastical world to forget about how perilous and sad his reality was, which many of us do use reading as a beautiful source of escapism.
"There's the parrot," cried Scrooge. "Green body and yellow tail, with a thing that like lettuce growing out of the top of his head. There he is. Poor Robin Crusoe, he called him, when he came home again after sailing round the island. Poor Robinson Crusoe, where have you been, Robinson Crusoe? The man thought he was dreaming, but he wasn't. It was the parrot, you know. There goes Friday, running for his life to the little creek. Hello, whoop, hello."
These are just books.
Well, it's Scrooge's comments in the book, so he's like really into the books. Anyway, I thought that was
Books
funny.
are good. I agree.
You know, Robin Crusoe, the book is called Robin Crusoe. We could read that one. That's a classic. So I thought that was pretty good. So young Scrooge was actually really funny and liked a lot of good books. So why don't we end it there, Abby? What do you make of A Christmas Carol so far?
Pretty good. I mean, I love it. I'm biased. I love the story. I love all of the nuances of it. So maybe if you're enjoying this, next time we will go through the second and third ghosts and the resolution of the book and see what happens to Scrooge and what he decides to do. Even though I sort of spoiled it earlier, you don't know for sure what happens. You don't know the details. You don't know what happens to Cratchit.
You don't know? Here, before we go, one last thing, because we brought him up. "Yo-ho, my boys," said Fezziwig. I should give him a voice, eh?
Yeah.
What should Fezziwig's voice be?
I don't know. He's very jovial.
"Yo-ho, my boys," said Fezziwig. "No more work tonight. Christmas Eve, Dick. Christmas, Ebenezer. Let's have the shutters up," cried old Fezziwig, with a sharp clap of his hand. "Before a man can say Jack Robinson." I guess that's what people said back then. "You wouldn't believe how those two fellows went at it. They charged into the street with the shutters. 1, 2, 3. Had 'em up in their places. 4, 5, 6. Barred 'em and pinned 'em. 7, 8, 9. And came back before you could have got to 12, panting like racehorses. Hilly-ho! Cried old Fezziwig, skipping down from the high desk with wonderful agility. "Clear away, my lads. Let's have lots of room here. Hilly-ho, Dick. Cheer up." Not cheer up. Cheer up. Ebenezer. Cheer up. Spelled
Yeah.
the usual way. CHIRRUP.
Cheer up.
So that is a great example of old Fezziwig.
Just such a giving, kind person. And it's through Fezziwig he met his fiance.
In came a fiddler with a music book and went up the lofty desk and made an orchestra of it and tuned like 50 stomach aches. I guess The orchestra wasn't very in tune. Like 50 stomach aches. What does that sound like? Ugh. Ugh. I don't know. So, Christmas Carol. If you like doing that with us, let us know. Let us know other books you want us to kind of go through a overview of, have some fun with.
Yeah, so if it's in the public domain, we can get really into it. If it is not in the public domain, we can do an abstract review of it. Like, we can still talk about it. We just can't give major plot points away. But we can still talk about it.
That's right. We are like book reports from your past, come to haunt you with hats.
With hats. How fun.
Which, you know, if you're going to get haunted, might as well be someone with a sweet bonnet.
A funny hat.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you join us next time.
Have a great day.